All right.
What's up, man? Ready to start this
Very much so.
podcast? Hey guys, welcome back for episode 3.
Howdy ho!
But we're going to be today diving into gray aliens, the first of the alien races that we're going to be talking about. Mostly because they're the ones that everybody's heard of. Everybody knows what they are. They're talked about quite frequently. They're popularized in a lot of movies, TV shows, etc.
So, so, Grays, often, a lot of people don't know this information, but they're also referred to as Zeta reticulans, otherwise known as the Roswell Greys, or just simply Greys as we know them today. They are what you might call perpetrated extraterrestrial beings. Um, Greys are often, and frequently featured in most claims of a close encounter of some kind. Uh, and that's where people often get misconstrued on what aliens look like. And oftentimes it's just, you know, he was this or he was that. It's a misconstruence. But oftentimes that's where you'll find Greys typically is during some type of close encounter or an alien abduction of some kind.
Greys are typically described as they're being really tiny, like short. They're usually 3.5 to 4.5 feet tall. I have heard reports of some being closer to like 5.5 feet tall, but they are an exception. They are not a normality, so they're pretty short. Um, Super smooth gray skin. I've also heard green skin. I've seen, or green little green men. They look similar. They're usually almost always about 3.5 feet tall, but I don't really see them be much taller than that. Uh, but super smooth gray or green skin, uh, really large heads, like and not heads like a sphere head, kind of like what we had. And this head's just like it looks like a cone, like some of the old Egyptian hieroglyphics. Excuse me, kind of depict some of their pharaohs with having like a hairpiece or a head covering over an elongated dome. They're kind of something similar to that. That's usually what they're described as. And very large black almond shaped eyes. And personally, I think that out of all of those traits, the eyes is almost always consistent. Like everything else always seems to vary just a little bit depending on the person. It is also consistent, but no one ever describes almost always these gray men to a T exactly the same. It's very rare. So, uh, but every really big abduction claim that we have had involves gray aliens of some sort. Some Nordic ones here too, in an unrelated, episode of the podcast that will be coming up after this one. But they they were prevalent until about the 70s, and then they stopped. The little gray ones or green ones have been since technically since Roswell, which was like 1947, 1947, 48. I think it's 47.
Oh man, I think it was 47. I'm not too sure.
Let's say I know we got one of the more famous
Yeah, it was
abductions.
47.
47. They say one of the more famous abductions is from 1961, which is really 10, 14 years after the fact. So it would track with
Roughly,
being
yeah.
about the same.
Yeah. Barney and Betty Hill
Hmm.
claim was real big to the popularization of the gray aliens back in the 60s. Precursor figures were described in science fiction, and similar descriptions appeared later accounts of the 47 Roswell UFO incident and early accounts of the 48 Arctic, the 1948 Aztec UFO hoax.
I don't really know a whole lot about that. I wonder what that's about.
Yeah, we can. Think we're probably gonna have a part 2 on Greys, are we not?
Probably need at least one more part on
I
Grace.
think there might be a part 2 on Greys, so we can
Yeah.
cover that in part 2, which will be our next episode.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, but, yeah, but reading a little bit more from paraphrasing from what we found. All of our sources are posted, but the gray alien is cited an archetypal image of an intelligent non-human creature, an extraterrestrial life in general. So I guess that kind of means that sometimes they are viewed as more being like a symbolic thing than actually being a physical thing. I would assume maybe it's more of like a spiritual thing for some people that aliens exist. That's the higher power, maybe, instead of what we would say is God. Some people say Source. Some people say is Allah, Jesus, Krishna, etc.
Well, so that's something else that's real big. Is that uh, in one hand, where people don't believe in, sciences, things like that, or whatever it might be. Uh, so it's actually a lot more complicated. Um, oh, I kind of lost my train of thought. Check it out.
It's all good. It happens.
Anyways,
That happens a lot with ADHD.
Yeah, sorry, got distracted.
Squirrel.
Bark, bark.
Yeah.
Anyways, what were we talking about?
I'm talking about gray aliens and their maybe somewhat of a spiritual impact or spiritual symbolism that they are for people instead of just being from outer space. Maybe that's just what they say because that's what makes them feel better about, like it's like their higher power, like I was saying. But
Okay, yes, that's right, that's right. So, yeah, wow, my bad. Because this is one of my biggest things I love talking about.
yeah, aliens are awesome.
Uh, mind you, I want you to keep in mind when you watch and you listen that this is merely educational. It's just open opinion. This isn't.
This is speculation.
I have many beliefs. This is just merely all speculation. I'm what people like to call a conspiracy theorist. So people usually don't. Yeah. Anyways, here we are.
Foil in my hat.
But so, if aliens exist, then how does religion exist? Because if aliens exist, then I mean, how does that work? Because some people believe that doesn't work because God is real. They don't think that could be a real existence. Because if God's real, then I mean, how are aliens real? Because God wouldn't make aliens, or whatever it is that they might say. That's not up for me to decide. But where I live in this world, I live on many beliefs. Like Buddha and reincarnation. I believe that exists. I think that's probably a real thing.
Oh yeah.
So like I believe God is real. Jesus. I think that's real, but I believe that aliens are real because, I mean, firsthand, I've seen some shit.
Right.
It's questionable. And I
Right.
know that you probably have, firsthand, probably looked up, seen some shit. We've all seen stuff. I'm sure you have too, but, like, I live in a world where everything is possible because you can't say impossible. You can't spell impossible without the word possible. If you can think about it,
We can do it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Like, and aliens is it's just one of those things. If you don't know, you should be over here because we're gonna talk about it. Let's get educational real quick. Let's uh let's learn you something here. So, uh, but yeah, it's all real, and we're gonna keep going on here with the Greys. Uh,
Before we get a little bit further down the trail with what we have picked up here, there is something that happened just, I think it was a couple of weeks back. We had some pretty nasty weather roll through here. It was raunchy, like really bad thunderstorms. You remember? You would.
yeah, they came through rough,
Yeah.
swept everything coming up. It came from over in the southwest.
Yeah, which is yeah, but it was a really strong storm. But I work third shift where I work at, and as I'm working, I get a message from Bob, and he's like, "Hey man, look at what I'm seeing," and he sends me a video and then like 12 pictures of what looks like a green orb flying around the eye of this thunderstorm, just kind of dancing around on the outskirts of it. And it's just really funny that we had talked about, I think it was 5 days prior to that, we had talked about how our first episode was going to be on gray aliens, and then we see something that flies like a UAP in the video. It's nuts. It's just very auspicious. If you don't know what that word is, go look it up. But, um, see, but they're small and diminutive, which is, they're not frail, but frail looking for the most part. They don't look that aggressive. Um, they don't really have certain body parts, like external body parts. They don't really have noses, ears, or sex organs, visible ones
Nah,
that you can
Greys
see.
pee out of their finger and they have telekinesis.
They pee out of their finger.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I've never heard that.
I can't verify that. Don't quote me. Don't quote me on this, but
That's speculation.
it's merely speculation. But I'm pretty sure they pee out of their finger.
It could be out of their finger.
I don't.
But we don't know what their
We
ear looks
honestly
like.
don't have no idea.
Maybe their ear is their problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they feel. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, they're fairly elongated. They got super nimbly, super long and disjointed looking fingers, like massive fingertips, super skinny fingers from almost all descriptions of them.
The small orifices for the ears. That's sometimes people think that's an argument and think that there's some that seem to do have ears. I don't know. It's mere speculation. There's not too much proof of that, but nostrils and mouths. Allegedly, from what I know, Greys are one of the only aliens that I think. Don't quote me on this, but I believe that the reason that their eyes are so large is because they don't really talk to people. I believe that they have the bigger elongated heads normally, and the big, almond eyes, and I think that they just hypnosis, telekinesis, what telepathic, telepathic, yeah,
Telepathic.
yeah, telepathic.
I am telepathetic.
Yeah, shout out to my homie. You know who you are. But telepathic, yeah, I mean, yeah, that one.
That one, yeah.
But, so, what if they just used that to get into your head and was like, this is what we're doing, you're coming with us. And these people voluntarily went because they didn't like, allegedly, let's say, if a third eye view were to notice this happening, and it would be, two greys and an alien, or a human, two greys and a human, excuse me, and this person walked with them willingly, I don't know if you could technically I mean, on one hand, you could say it was an abduction, because how does somebody willingly go with, a grade like that, to just willingly walk away with an extraterrestrial? I mean, you know what I mean? It's just kind of suspicious.
I do, but I mean, so.
Because it's not just about the ships having tractor beams. I think that's how they show up and they grab up on the cattle and shit.
Yep.
And that ties into the great, how do you pronounce that? Greyada Treaty? That I think it was
Greyada, yeah.
The Greyada Treaty. Yeah. I think it was Eisenhower signed.
Yes. So allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yes.
And so it's kind of weird, but yeah, that's real interesting.
I'd say I can't necessarily say as to why somebody would want to willingly go, because I don't remember willingly going anywhere with an alien, so I can't imagine why anybody else would want to do it. You know what I mean? That just seems like it'd be a little uncomfortable.
I mean, maybe a little bit.
But at the same time, I remember very vividly when I was probably 5 or 6, there was a night that I couldn't sleep. I've never really been a good sleeper, but I went and was staring out my window, and maybe it's just imagination. Maybe it was actually something else. I don't really honestly know. All I know is that at the time it was real. So that's kind of how I go off it. Like, it was real for me. So, but I could see what looked like little tiny figures that are kind of what are described as gray aliens. They weren't necessarily gray. I couldn't really tell what they were because they were really fucking far away. But
you suck. At
the same time, if you could see how big to know that they were small, they probably really aren't that small. So they might have been giant. For all we know, because if they're, if they're X far away and they're this big still, that's a honking ass motherfucker when you get up on top of them. Like, they're big. Because they'll just, as you get closer to them. But with that being said, I mean, what looked like swinging from the moon. I mean, there was another one that looked like they were dropping out of the ship on a ladder, like out my window, 5 years old. Call me crazy. I don't care. I know what I saw. It was real for me. But
Nephilim is real. We'll get to that.
Hell yeah, they're related, most certainly related. But that's what I remember seeing. It's the only one and only time I've ever really seen anything like that. Everything else has been just orbs. I see a lot of orb work in the sky. Fast-moving stars, for lack of a better term, too. I see those quite a bit. The ones that don't have the delay on the blink, they're super bright and they just keep going.
I've seen a few of those, yeah. Over in,
and
like,
it's not Starlink. It's not fucking Starlink.
No, there was an instance back in the mid 2010s, I think. Over by the, I think it was over in the Middle East somewhere, and can't remember exactly where, but there was this big, bright, I mean, like, looked like a little tiny sun, and it just sat up in the sky for a few minutes, and then next thing you know, it was gone. Gone like the wind. Gone. Shit's insane. And you can't debunk that. What are you gonna say it was? Because
a ball of heat lightning.
Look, I'm not trying to knock, my country's military or anything like that, but back then and even still to this day, especially being a kid, from being, let's say, I think I was probably like 12, 13 when I really saw my first something that I thought was really suspicious to me, and ever since then I've kind of wondered, and so what if it is all real? And so I was beginning to question, and I forgot where I was going. I drove my car off a cliff because my friend told me it was a great idea. Just kidding.
Deep brain.
Yeah, I didn't. But let's see.
Something about it being all real. I remember that.
And we're back. So, got him. Anyways, yeah, sorry, I was going somewhere with it. And I drove the other direction. Saw a squirrel or something.
I don't know. I could. That last part that I put in there in the notes is right here. That's more from me. That's something I wrote and put up in there, like because there's always the possibility that maybe it's a joke, and it was just something else that they wanted to use as a cover up for doing something else. It could just be a psyop to control the way that we think theoretically, because
How many people here know about the chemtrails? They're releasing poison in the air.
Just saying.
They're turning the frickin' frogs gay.
Let's talk about it.
Shut up.
But there's also, urban rumors and legends that go around that say that President Eisenhower allegedly had signed a treaty with gray aliens dubbed the Guyana Treaty, which was in exchange for being allowed to experiment on people like you and me, and cows even, I guess, because they still get mutilated every once in a while on occasion.
Well, cows are one of the only animals on this planet that has four stomachs, so.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
I think that's why it's.
Right. Livestock and minerals, that they would be advanced in weapons technology by close to 100 years. And again, obviously, it's just a theory. There's no proof. There's no proof of that whatsoever anywhere. But it is very interesting to think about it like that, with the things that are going on. Not to imply anything, but...
No, what?
Exactly.
I didn't hear anything. Exactly.
They didn't hear nothing. I can't remember the date on this. I should have went and proofread it back, but I didn't put the date of this article right here.
Oh, it's okay.
It's
The
sometime.
source is in there. We can go back and look at it.
Yeah, it's somewhere like right after, a couple days after Roswell happened. But there was Roswell that happened where a saucer came crashing down and they recovered the craft, and this was the headline of it basically happening. The 509th Bomb Group of the 8th Air Force, Roswell Army Airfield, was the team that recovered the ship. And they tried to play it off then too and just say, oh, well, it was just something else entirely. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was. But, of course, if you have a set narrative that could be upset by the discoverance of extraterrestrial life, perhaps you would want to try to keep that a secret.
Yeah.
Because that would probably just, shock and awe quite a few people.
Especially, number one, if you told a bunch of generations that Jesus is real and that aliens can't exist because Jesus and God is real, well, like, I'm sorry, but they told you wrong.
Right, because there's a lot of proof of extraterrestrial life having, in my opinion, visited Earth, as we talked about last episode, for quite a long time. Yeah, and longer
I think we watched a couple of videos, matter of fact, too. You probably didn't see the videos, but nonetheless, yeah.
There's a lot of evidence to suggest that they exist. In what capacity? We still honestly really don't know. Hollywood hypes up everything. Everything is overhyped. Everything is over sensationalized. That's just a fault, unfortunately, of some things. But we're not going to get into that. That's just that people like to exaggerate it because then it sells. It sells. It makes more money. It produces more headlines, more buzz. More people try to stop in wherever this alien thing supposedly happened, etc., etc. And it makes for good tourism, a good story, and sometimes that's played on and just to maybe just exploit a simple belief that we are not the only sentient biological life like this ending.
Well, I want to touch base on the tourism and things like that part. It essentially it's all about the story and trying to get more evidence, wanting to know and be more aware of what was, way before us, what is, not too long before us, what is now, and possibly what's in our future. So, yeah, part of it is tourism because we're gonna go places, we're gonna see stuff. But at the same time, we're here to just help you who's here and who listens to just simply know things. We're not I don't know. It's hard to say. But this is
A hypothetical show, a hypothetical discussion.
yeah.
It's all just theories that are out there that we have talked about for extensively off and on for probably the better part of the decade. Yeah, but it's all leading to a passion of here we are talking about gray aliens with you guys and sharing what we know, what we have determined and have found out from what we've done on our own, so on and so forth.
Going on this adventure.
Yeah, from all the friends. Gray aliens pop up in more conversations that I have with my circle of friends, which you take that with a grain of salt, just because my circle of friends is like me, they believe in aliens, so we talk a lot about aliens. It's a predominant thing in the conversation. So take that with a grain of salt. Of course, they're going to talk about aliens all the time. It comes up all the time.
I love my circle of friends. They're great, but they think my theories are sometimes funny, and sometimes they think I'm a gray.
Oh, well, I mean, I've been called a reptilian before, so it's all good.
I mean, life goes on. What's up?
Yeah. What you gonna do? We're all aliens if you want to get real technical.
Hey, I'll live and live.
Yep.
Live and let free, son. Forgive and forget.
That's right. Yeah. But consistently with the gray aliens, they all look like and act like that. They are at the predominant of almost every abduction story that we have since Betty and Barney Ross in 1961. But because of how prevalent these abductions are, it's also theorized that sometimes by some people that they are not necessarily biological in what we consider biological in the traditional sense, but they're more synthetic or they're bioengineered drones. So basically, they're just pooped out of a copy machine, for lack of a better term. There's just the mold's refilled, and then here comes another one, because they're all uniform in appearance. They're always like do to do blah blah blah.
Right.
So, but yeah, predominantly at the forefront for abductions. That is quite a bit to take in. There's quite a bit to go still, even too. We have a whole bunch of different things that happen during the abduction, which is paralysis, like medical examination, intrusive procedures. That is consistent in almost all of the close encounters of the, I believe it's the fourth or fifth kind is like the one where they're abducted.
I believe so.
Yeah, I have to fact check myself, and I'll put that in the Discord because I can't remember now. But as far as to where they come from, one of the most persistent theories is that they originate from Zeta Reticuli, which is, I think we've talked about it before, it's a binary star system 39 light years away from Earth. Gained traction after Betty Hill, under hypnosis, drew a star map that some claimed matched it to a pretty good stretch of it. Pretty good stretch of it. Obviously, it can't be really verified because it was hand drawn. So, but that is going to be it for this part one of Gray Aliens. We're going to call it here. We will be doing part two next week. We will have it picking up from where we left off on Zeta Reticuli. Thank you very much for showing up once again. It means an awful lot to both me and Sam here that you guys are tuning in each week and watching. We will see you next time. Take care.
Hi.
Hey, so we kind of cut that short also because we got this fantastic cheesecake that's been calling our names now for probably the whole entirety of making this episode. And we really wanted to also showcase it this time because it is fantastic. What's up? Okay, well, it's fantastic cheesecake. It is really good. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. It's lemon and then lemon lime. This is the Asmir part of the episode, right?
So
it's
good.
So good. It's you guys are about to be like, oh my god.
Wait till you see it.
Yeah, it's gonna.
I haven't even seen it yet.
Yeah, we already know it's gonna be perfect.
I haven't even seen it yet.
Yeah. We're excited. What did the right eye say to the left eye?
Here we go.
No, that's just between you and me. Something smells.
Hey, you want to see something cool?
that?
No.
Oh.
No. I got this. I got this invisible string.
I'm not gonna look.
No, you want to see the cool part about this invisible string? Check it out. Ready? Alright, it's in your head now, huh? Now I need you to grab either side of the string. Alright.
That sounds a little sus, bro.
It's very sus.
Don't fall for it! He's gonna do something weird! Oh, no. Not weird, but off the wall! Della!
It's a Della.
Della the pup!
For some reason, she likes my hands the most. It's weird.
Thank
Bum,
you.
bum, bum,
Beautiful lady.
bum, bum,
Thank
bum,
you.
bum, 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 bum.
Made by the beautiful MC Squared.
Bob.
Mm.
Yeah. No, we don't know which one's
Alright,
which. They
I
got
have
mixed
no
up.
idea which one
So
is
we're gonna
which.
find out. That kind of looks like lemon, so we're gonna try it. It's probably definitely not, but you know. Oh my gosh, I was right. It's lemon lime. I was not right.
Oh man.
I was just decadent.
Oh.
Oh. Man, I can feel the insulin.
I know. Like, look at that.
Just look at that cheesecake. It's gorgeous. Just be like, you're gonna eat it like a piece of pizza. The way it was made to be. Try the lemon one now. We'll come back to it. Don't think we really need them to eat cheesecake. The headphones.
This is really good. I'm smacking so hard. There's a lot of chocolate in the pipe. Super tasty. If you like what you heard today, give us a follow. We're dropping episodes every week. We'll also be doing stuff like this too, because dessert's awesome. And we got the best dessert maker in the house.
Preach.
Hands down. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next week.
Come back.